Hi everyone, welcome to Active Self-Protection. We are delighted that you're here today for today's evidence-based defensive lesson. I am ASP President John Correa.
And I am Stephanie Widener, ASP's CEO. Welcome to Saturday's lesson.
Palm pepper spray is next generation OC spray. It's hot at 1.4% major capsaicinoids, and its modular design means you can customize it exactly to you. 3 different setups, lots of different color combinations. You can make it exactly as you like. And the flip top safety prevents accidental discharges. It's 10 to 12 foot range and 25 half-second blasts. Make sure that you can keep that long range eye poke at long range. I trust Palm OC and I recommend it for everyone for self-defense.
In this first one, this couple is just sitting on their bike when you see a whole gaggle of dudes show up, one with a gun and points it at them, and they want to steal their moto. Okay, fine, they kind of get off the bike and then hang out. You see the guy who's on the front, who's got the gun here, is kind of holding them a little bit at gunpoint for somebody else to show up and get her bag. And it is going to be a struggle to get her bag off of her because of the helmet she's wearing. Eventually, they did get it off of her. Now, this truck here is our perp in our second incident, and they're going to kind of lollygag around here, pull over next to what looks like a bunch of dumpsters. Well, that's because the woman who owns these, that's on a trailer, and she's just done a whole bunch of recycling and is getting gas in the truck she's dragged that trailer with, but she's got a bunch of cash in her backpack. And so this guy is going to go over and grab that. My guess is that they followed her from the recycle joint and try to get it off of her. Well, she's not real excited about that because she spent all that time getting all that stuff to recycle. Try to run away, ain't gonna happen. He is gonna toss her down, grab the backpack, off they go. She lost that backpack. There's no chance they're gonna catch those guys. Hey friends, if you haven't watched any of Stephanie Widener's full-length classes in the ASP Unlimited app, I think you're missing out. In this first one, Steph, you know, this couple is just kind of hanging out doing their thing. You gotta recognize you're in a transitional space when you're stopped in your vehicle or on your vehicle in this case. And a guy's got a gun on you here. It's not the time to go for your own gun. It's the time for purposeful compliance to earn your right to start the gunfight at your time if you yourself are armed, and of course, I think you should be.
It certainly takes a lot less time to just pull the trigger, like the bad guy has the gun out here and aimed already, than it would take for our good guy to reach for his gun, clear a garment, and pull the gun out. So really, this is not a good time to choose to draw your gun. It's a better time for, just like you said, purposeful compliance and to try to find a better time when you could make a counter ambush.
I also want to say multiple attackers, very common. This is about a third of all attacks that we see on the channel. Involve multiple attackers. So should you be armed? Yeah, I think that good, sane, sober, moral, prudent people should be armed. But remember, that doesn't mean you are going to be ahead of the problem. As a private citizen, you're gonna have to wait your turn and then take your turn. Now, as you watch here, I wanna note that our defender, the guy who's on the front, not his lady on the back, but the guy on the front, they're gonna be like, yo man, give me your bike. Okay, fine. Now watch what he does as he gets off, he gets turned around. Okay. Here was his opportunity if he was carrying, especially if he's carrying front of the hips, to get his gun out, turn around, and get the advantage on these guys because of the fact that they would have a very difficult time detecting that he was drawing before he starts putting bullets in them.
Yeah, I agree. This is his best chance, in my opinion, through this whole situation and encounter to do something to get a gun in the fight. It's still going to be a real challenge with multiple attackers here, and he's going to need to be really switched on, I think, to really do something about it. But this is really his chance and his shot, and he's lined up perfectly to do it. In fact, I kind of expected him to come back around with a gun. This was set up so perfectly to draw a gun right here.
I really agree. So of course, if you're a concealed carrier, take your turn after you've waited your turn, right? Wait your turn for sure. Then when you can get ahead, go for it and take your turn. Because again, you can, you pop the first couple and word spreads fast, and the rest of the guys probably scamper off and look for easier victims. Now then though, our aggressor here is holding them at gunpoint at this point. So we would really want to get out of the danger zone if we can, but I don't know that they could at this point. And also, I think it's worth us talking a little bit here, Steph, because this woman is wearing her little backpack thing cross-body. it's like a purse or something, crossbody that they want. And I see this in self-defense circles pretty commonly, that they say, oh, wear crossbody, make sure you've got cut-proof straps and those things. But those factors really hurt her here. And I don't know that I recommend that, because we see this kind of thing happen where she gets, kind of jammed up in her purse pretty commonly, and I think that increased the danger she was under.
It sure does, and it's something that we see all the time. I think what you have to do is define what your goals are. If your goals are to protect your bag, whatever that is, to not be stolen and to be able to keep it with you, then wearing it crossbody with, a lot of times they'll pair them with cut-proof straps to further ensure that people aren't able to get that away from them, and that does make the bag slightly more difficult to get. But if your goal is here to protect your person and to make sure that you're not hurt or injured, I think the ability to escape from your bag, even if that means turning it over to the bad guy, is really important. We see people look to be seriously injured all the time as they're drugged and thrown by their bags because the bad guys can't get them and the people can't get them off quick enough. So really decide if your goals here are to make sure your purse is never stolen, or if it's to make sure your person is protected, because I think they can be very different goals.
Yeah, absolutely. Also here, I want to recognize men and women both, I don't recommend carrying any kind of a bag, because bad guys recognize that bag is where valuables are. And if your gun is in there, they're going to target that bag. You're going to have a very difficult time getting the gun out of that bag. So I don't recommend bag carry for a gun, whether that's purse carry or backpack or fanny pack or any of those things, if you can find a better solution. Now, this next one, again, I really think is prevention more than anything else. And paying attention to your world to recognize when people are doing what you would not expect them to be doing in that environment. And here, these guys kind of pull up to a pump, then pull up to a different pump, and then stop and wait there, and they don't get out to get gas, and they're not doing what I would expect somebody getting gas to do. And that's when we go from Colonel Cooper's color code yellow to orange, because something is out of place. But our lady here is not paying attention to her world, and so she's not able to do that. And I know, Steph, some people get frustrated at me for talking about playing four corners, but this is exactly why I play it.
It's exactly why. And what's interesting to me is this is exactly what we're studying right now with Force Science, is the idea of experts make decisions in kind of crisis moments by paying attention to patterns and things that they don't expect to see and reacting to limited information. And what we have here is some limited information that things aren't as I expect them to be, and that I should pay more attention. And that helps me make expert decisions in these type of situations. At the very least, it's worth turning around and paying attention to. That might have given her some time to better protect herself, to get away, to do any number of things, more options than she has now, when her first indication that there's a problem is when her bag is grabbed.
I really think you should listen to what Stephanie just said there. Experts are experts at pattern recognition and at paying attention to the right things at the right moments. And that's the real difference between an expert and a novice. And these videos, what they do is they give you patterns so that you can recognize them in your world, so that you can then look for these patterns and know what's coming ahead of time, because that time buys you options. So get the mental rep from this. That's the real value out of these every day. In her case, she's not paying attention to what's going on here. She's really enamored and really kind of raptured of what she's doing. And so she doesn't get to see what's coming until he grabs a hold of her by the backpack. And I think, okay, yes, pay attention to your world so that you get some time here. But also, I really think she's got a lot of cash in that backpack from something that she just did, which was do the recycle thing of all of that material. And I think if you're carrying a large amount of valuables, you have to recognize, I don't have the right to stop in transitional spaces. I just got to get home, get to the bank, get that put in another spot. And failure to do that sets you up for people following you to take advantage of you.
Yeah, we all have times in our life when our awareness is probably a little less than what we would like it to be, and we're a little more distracted. I think you have to make really intentional decisions when you're in kind of a high-risk situation like this. If you're in a place where you're dealing with a large amount of cash or payroll, or you're going into a store, a business that works in cash, just know that other people are aware of this, and they are going to be looking for victims in these places. And just be very intentional about your attention at these moments. And I think that can really help you. This is not the time to really to be more lax, for sure.
And again, if you've got a bunch of cash on you because you just had to withdraw a bunch of cash, you better recognize the chances of you being followed are not zero. If you just made a large transaction and you've got valuables on you. You bought a bunch of gold or something. I don't know. You get my point, right? You've got a bunch of Krugerrands on you or something weird like that. Just pay attention to your world and don't make these intermediate stops, especially at a stop and rob like this. Holy heck. Now, he's trying to get her backpack. She says no, and now they're in a strength war over her backpack. Note to self, there is a strength difference, very particularly an upper body strength difference between men and women. That is purely anatomical fact, and she ends up on the ground. Now, on the ground, though, women generally have a higher strength ratio of lower body strength, and so you can get an advantage here if you know how to fight on the ground, but the only place you're gonna really learn how to do that is not on the internet, it's actually being on the mats.
Right, and especially if she needed to further protect herself here, if he was still trying to get this bag and at risk of injuring her, and she's trying to get him away from her, getting those legs in front of her and using those to protect herself is going to be much more helpful. But again, the real struggle here is because she can't get free of the bag. I'm not sure she has the strength or skills to protect it, and yet she also can't get free of it. So she's really at risk on several different levels here and really at a disadvantage.
Also, again, she might have been able to deter this attack had she been doing something like playing Four Corners. I'll try to put a link in the description to Four Corners so that you can know what I'm talking about there. Had not put herself at a disadvantage, had maybe while she's getting this gas, had been palming her OC spray so that as that guy approaches her, hey, back away from me, buddy, as he continues in, bless the deserving with the hot sauce, maybe he doesn't get a hold of her. But because she failed in that victim selection process, she's not going to be able to protect herself in this. And so hear me on the backpack stuff, okay? And on the previous one with the on-body bag, don't carry a gun in there. Don't put your gun in there. Your gun really should be on your person. If at all possible, in the world of the Filster Enigma, there's really no reason not to carry on body, and I don't care what kind of clothing that you like, unless you are wandering around in like the world's tiniest itty-bitty yellow polka dot bikini, you are going to be able to conceal using a Filster Enigma. And even if you are wearing the itty-bitty yellow polka dot bikini, maybe you can. And guys, it's 2024, you can wear those too. Anyhow, let's make sure we learn the lessons out of this one so that we can better cover our ASP.